Hello. It's another great and terrific day, the second day, and I want to believe for as many that have joined right now and who happen to be part of the program yesterday will agree with me that we have two powerful sessions, and today is not going to be an exception. I promise that today should even be better. We have two lineup speakers of reputable knowledge and have been making great impacts in our world. And I'm honored also to be the one that will bringing up the first speaker. But before we dive into it today, I would like to just reiterate one or two things. We are looking at thriving through commitment, TTC. And yesterday we looked at parenting, the subject on parenting. I will also look at the subject on finance. They were all mind blowing. Before I go into sharing little snippets out of those two, I want to just let us know. We'll be saying this from time to time as the event just go on. Remember to share the link. If you are right in the room right now, please remember to share the link with your friends and family members. As the event goes on, please, anything that hits you the most or comes strong to you, we want you to tweet about it or put it in the comment box. You can tweet about it, share the link along with the tweet so that more people can actually join us. And before we get into that place, before we get into the first speaker, I will also want you to know that if you have questions that you have ahead of time, please just make sure you get them ready and preferably drop them in the comment section so that our team can harness those questions, and at the appropriate time we'll be addressing all of those things. Yesterday I was amazed. I was not fully involved, but I was watching from the back end and I gained quite a lot on the aspect of parenting. One thing that stood out for me is because when the purpose of a thing is not known, like Dima said yesterday, say abuse is inevitable. So I heard something yesterday that said that the most important person in parenting is actually you. As a parent, how a child turns out in life goes a long way. How we parents, those that are parents, or even if you're a potential parent, that's why this is also very useful to you. How we actually parent those children. And another thing is, as I said, any misbehaving child is a discouraged child. That's like a feedback. It's like a feedback because a child is looking for ways of feeling belonged. And she spoke specifically about three core areas: responsiveness, resilience, and resourcefulness. And he said there's every child have the need for love, for belonging, and also for significance. I don't have to repeat all the section again all over. I believe you can always get a link afterwards and you can have the summit all by yourself. And talking about finance as well, taken by yes, TPF, yes, the popular TPF, the only T behind PF. Say money is not the source of problem. I love that. We don't have money problems, but we have management problems. And that stood out as well for me. So people will look at it that finance is our problem. Finance is our problem. No, finance is not your problem. It's actually the management of the finance, how the two parties that are involved manage that finance, that is actually the problem. Let me go over it again. We need to share the link with our friends and family members. Drop any punchy liner that hits you very hard. Drop it in the comment zone and also help us to tweet it, share it on your social media platform, share it along with the link, and let somebody know that something is going on. And I want to emphasize this one very strongly. The registration link will be dropped again. For as many that have not actually registered, I want to strongly encourage register, because we have quite a number of resources that we'll be sharing after the event. The event is not ending today. There's post activities that will be going on, and we'd love to share some important information and materials that will be very resourceful and useful for enhancing your relationship at the end of today. And today we're looking at two major discussion points as well. There's one on communication, and also there's going to be the one on conflict management. And I'm privileged to bring up stage to today this someone that wears so many caps and highly knowledgeable, making impacts in the world. By name, Dr. Adeyemi Agbelusi. He will be sharing his wealth of knowledge on conflict management with us today. Adeyemi is an experienced ADR consultant with extensive numbers of disputes resolved in core areas of family, banking, real estate, construction, corporate and commercial matters as specialty. Adeyemi Agbelusi has valuable dispute resolution experience. He has been involved in a number of large, complex commercial mediation and arbitration matters in Nigeria and abroad, and has advised on private international issues arising from cross-border transactions. He serves as on the panel of neutrals of the Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse, Federal High Court AVR Center, Lagos Court of Arbitration, and panels of several private, domestic, and international institutions. If I go on, we will not leave here today. It's my privilege and honor to bring up at this point in time Dr. Adeyemi Agbelusi. Can we put it in the comment section and just help me to make him feel welcome strongly as he take on the stage? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dele. I'm happy to be here today. I'm happy to share with you. So we are looking at conflict resolution within families, how we can basically deal with conflict in the family, from conflict avoidance to conflict resolution, and most importantly, conflict management. I think I will really put it out there first, full disclosure, that conflict, in my opinion, can never really be resolved. It's usually managed. And the continuous management of conflict is what eventually becomes the term resolution. So one great thinker, a philosopher, said, peace is not an abstract concept, but peace is a concept that shows that there are well-managed conflict. And I think that's really what I will first of all put out there for all of us to realize, that when we talk about peace in the family, peace in the community, peace in the home, it's really about the well-managed conflicts that come around. So I'll go share my slides and try to go through them quickly. Okay. So conflict management. What is conflict? Conflict is basically when we say that a differing viewpoint. Two people have differing viewpoints towards a matter. Two people have different opinions. Two people have different positions on the same matter, two sides of a coin. And so they basically don't see eye to eye. There's a division in their perception and understanding of any issue. Once that occurs, there's a friction. So we say there's a conflict. It may start as a quarrel. It may start as a difference. But when this escalates, it becomes a conflict. And we'll find that in life, we continually have conflict. Conflict is part of our lives. From morning till night, I'm sure that each of us today will have had one conflict either in the traffic, or with our staff, or with our spouse, or with our children, or with even ourselves. Conflict happens all the time. So my goal for today, in the short time I have, is one, to make us understand the nature of conflict in human relationships. Number two, identify ways that conflict can be positive or negative. Also, examine a framework for analyzing conflict situations, seeing how we can deal with it. So, what do we know? We all know that conflict is a naturally occurring phenomenon for human beings. I mean, people get involved in conflict situations every day, whether they are in relationship or out of relationship. And the outcome usually we don't know. We know when we get into it, but we don't know when we come out of it. So we also know that um, conflicts are never really truly resolved. They're only managed. People learn to compromise or collaborate or bury the hatchet, but the hatchet is still there, but it's buried. And so they move on with their lives and realize that the cost of unmanaged conflict can be devastating. But conversely, when we manage our differences creatively, intuitively, with intelligence, consciously, then the benefits can be very, very great. So conflicts can be either productive or dysfunctional. And in the family, the eye must always be on making conflicts productive. So the first thing is know yourself. Because when we enter into marriage today, we realize that many young people get into marriage for the reason that they think that, well, it's time for me to be hooked, or now I'm getting to 30, or now I have a job, I'm picking up a mortgage, or I can now buy a car, I started driving, I finished my youth corps, or different people have different reasons why they want to get married. But the truth about it is, marriage is a contract. And in a social construct, marriage, in the eyes of the state, creates a family, which is a unit of the state. And there are many laws, matrimonial laws, that govern the institution of marriage. And so when they come into that institution and they find that they're living with somebody, sometimes it becomes a situation whereby you have failed expectations or false expectations, or you have unmanaged expectations. And basically, from day one, it's like I'm not equally yoked. So many people wake up and their life is a battle. You know, it's sometimes ridiculous when you watch movies and people go to Las Vegas, they get drunk, they go to the 24-hour chapel, they get married, and they wake up in the morning and look at their bedside and they ask themselves, what's this person doing next to me? And next thing they want to do is get a divorce. And so in Las Vegas also, you go downstairs and you pay and you get your no-fault divorce. But it doesn't work like that in real life. In real life, you meet yourself, you go to your families, you introduce yourself to your friends, you grow an extensive network of people who find out about you and tell you you're compatible. Then you fix a wedding date, then you plan, then you have some activities, maybe the traditional marriage, do the court wedding, do the church wedding. You invest so much into it, and eventually you're living together. And if you are blessed, then you certainly have children, maybe in rapid succession, first, second, or third child, or you don't have children quickly. All of these still bring their own conflicts and their own troubles. And so eventually you find that, okay, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, we've been together and we now call ourselves family. But it wasn't intentional. So when conflicts occur, the first thing is, I want to go, or I regret marrying you, or what am I doing here? And so these feelings always come up when there is a conflict, and they tend to be recurring. So when you have conflicts in the family, one of the common things that you find out is, one, there are certain feelings associated with these conflicts, or emotions, I would say. One is anger, and I don't have to explain that. Another one is frustration. You know, if I had married John, John now lives in Ikoyi with his wife. And so I left him and I married you, and here I am in this corner of the world. Oh, I made a big mistake in choosing my life partner. So frustration. And also fear. You know, fear also comes in conflict, either fear of violence or fear of loss or fear of, the future. There's also excitement, you know, in common, it's common feeling in conflict. And people get agitated and they really, go all out and invest in it. So when there's conflict, some people run away from it. They just naturally avoid conflict. I mean, I have a sister the moment you raise your voice, she just submits. Say, okay, it's all right. I accept what you're saying. I say, but this is the reason. Say, no, don't even explain to me. I accept it. And these are people who avoid conflict. So they flight from conflict. Other people will fight. I mean, even this most little thing, you make a little statement, they say, but I want to prove it. And so they put their hands down, they bang the table, they raise their voice. And these people are in our families. So all of us must take a look back. What is your personal history with conflict? You know, as your background in your family, how was conflict perceived? Did you live in a high tension, high conflict situation? And is that normal for you? And how is the present family unit you are living in? How do you deal with conflict? Because you find that things tend to repeat themselves. And so people who grow up in high tension, high conflict situation tend to create it in their future relationships. They create it in their office, in society, because basically that's the oxygen that drives them. And unless you stop and understand the impact of conflict on your family and on your community, then you won't take the right decisions to deal with conflicts now. And you become a product of your own history. Because the truth about it is that we make our history. So we being here today are really at the edge and the opportunity of using these summits to look at our conflict management style. And the different conflict management styles, I don't want to get too technical, but I'll just run through them quickly. You have the turtle. These are people that withdraw from conflict. They avoid conflict at all costs. And they give up their personal goals and relationships just to avoid conflict. So the husband tells the wife, you're not going to work, you're going to be a housewife. And just because she doesn't want trouble, she stays at home and sacrifices her dream, her education, her everything. Even her parents who would have invested so much money in training her are at a loss while she's sitting at home and says, look, I don't want trouble for my husband. So like a turtle, they go to withdraw and they think that it is hopeless to have any kind of difficult conversation to resolve that conflict. And so because they feel helpless, they rather withdraw than face the conflict. And that's a turtle person, somebody who avoids conflict. Now you have the shark. And the shark is somebody who wants to have his way forcefully. So sometimes you have a wife who is a shark, or you have the man who is a shark, the alpha. They want to overpower their opponents. They want to force people to enter into their mold. They're not concerned about your needs, but they're concerned about their own needs. And they don't care how you perceive them. So the woman doesn't care if all our in-laws can't come into her house, if all her husband's siblings don't come into the house. As long as she has the husband put in place and she's in check, she's happy. These are shark characters, and they believe in winning. Winning gives them a sense of pride. And they will try to win by attacking, by overwhelming, by intimidating others. And that's their own character. Now you have the teddy bear. That's another conflict style. They're the very smoothing kind of people. For them, they're very happy about relationships. And they're not really they have no agenda. They just want to be accepted. They want to be liked by other people. So they believe that conflict should be avoided in favor of harmony. So in a family, they're the ones that hold the family together. They talk to everybody. They don't want anybody to be hurt. If it's a family meeting and somebody lives there unhappy, they will call the person, try to smooth things over. They're the teddy bear conflict people. Now you have the fox. The fox is a compromising person who is moderately concerned with relationships and goals and will sacrifice part of their goals just to keep conflict away. And in the family, they also, especially when they are the second or third or fourth child, they help to balance sibling rivalry and to make sure that things flow within the family. Then you have the owl. The owl is confronting, and it's always wonderful in one family to have at least one owl person in the mix. These are people that value goals and relationships, and they view conflicts as problem to be solved. So you have you have six, you have seven siblings in the family, and they're not talking, and everybody's going along. The owl character will call everybody one by one and say, we need to have a family meeting. We need to resolve this. We need to solve this problem. There are things in the cracks that we're not talking about. So they want conflicts to be used to improve relationships and reduce tension. And they want to help people to get to solutions that satisfy all parties. And they will normally will not leave everybody alone until the solution is found and tension is is reduced. Now, who is the best in this whole box? Is it the fox? Is it the teddy bear? Is it the shark? No. All of these people are important in a family. When the issue is very trivial, when it's not important, when the potential damage or confrontation outweighs the benefit, then you have the turtle character coming in. So people can cool down, avoid the conflict, tension is reduced, people can gather good information and make an informed decision, and then the conflict can be resolved later effectively. So the turtle character helps to defray a high octane situation and bring people together to discuss things later. The shark character also is important when quick decisive action is vital. So in a family, when people need to take decisions that are painful and everybody's bending around, the shark character pushes everybody, take some popular decisions. Maybe a staff has to be sacked, or they need to move from a house, or need to deal with the tenant. Basically, you find that the shark character helps to protect the family from people who take advantage of non-competitive people. Now you also have the teddy bear characters. When you realize that you are wrong in a family and people basically want to mend fences, the teddy bear helps to smooth over, talk to everybody, and allow people to just, talk to them, be a sponge, and then you unite the family together again. I also have the fox when you are fighting with another party and the family needs to take strategic decisions, to extricate themselves. So you could be in a situation whereby there are 5 wives and they have different children and they need to sort out issues. The fox will be a good character to sit down, analyze the situation, and help the family to resolve and get to temporary settlements to complex issues. So you also need the owl, like I said. The owl will help you get an integrative solution and avoid compromise. So the owl will work relationship and get everybody to face the brutal facts and get the conflict resolved. So in family, it's a very good breeding ground for conflict. If there's anybody you fight most, I remember I told a story about an old man, that a woman was told once in a village that she should go and bring the man in that village that she fights with the most and she has no respect for. And she looked at all the men in the village and she went and brought her husband. And of course, he will follow her. It's not out of disrespect for the husband, but the husband is the person she's familiar with, who she spends most of her time and her life with. So they usually we have conflicts. And so expectations and anticipation, both implicit and explicit, creates a family situation whereby conflict is part of our lives. And it is the constant resolving of these conflicts, managing them and moving on, that gives us experience as a family. So when you see a family coming back after 25, 30 years, having a reunion, they will usually be sharing stories of past conflicts, but now they become war stories that they laugh about. And if they allow themselves to get to that point without giving up on each other, then they are able to have these happy reunions at the end. So, what are the issues that we face in family conflict? We have present facts, things we are going through, problems that come. And these present facts throw up what I'll call goals in the family. How should things be? What future conditions should we work to? And then want to consider what is the best, most ethical, and the quickest way to get to that future. And then what are the values that should be observed in getting to that future? So that really is the bedrock of how we look at family conflicts. What are the facts? What are the goals of the parties? What is the best method to use? What are the values that should not be compromised? And then how do they build a history? So what are the components we usually find in family conflict? As a family mediator, I find that many times one of the key components of family conflict is frustration. Whether it's sharing an estate, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a child going to school, whether it's siblings who are locked in a battle for supremacy, frustration is a common thread among family conflicts. Because why? We are in a family in a configuration that we had no choice in. So I didn't choose to be firstborn or secondborn or thirdborn or lastborn or stepbrother or adopted child. We're all just thrown into that mix. So when people feel that they're not being heard, so you usually find the conflict situation breeding. But the key thing when we find that happen is what's going on, which I will call the conceptualization. And this is where many people are unable to sit down and think what is going on in our family. And so you find that many things get swept under the carpet in the name of peace and harmony. But what is swept under the carpet eventually does not go away. So this behavior is something that is wrong because eventually unresolved conflicts has emotional, cognitive, and behavioral expressions. And so you find either the child is reserved in school, or the wife is always gloomy, or the husband is always non absent, never at home. Basically, the unresolved conflicts in the family um, affects everybody who are individuals in that ecosystem. Now, like I said, we can deal with conflicts in our lives and in the family, especially in either a positive way or a dysfunctional way. So when we take it in a dysfunctional way, we deal with conflicts in a way that is unproductive. So we're just fighting as a family. The husband and wife are fighting, they're competing. The children are fighting for supremacy. They don't talk to each other. One person bought a car, the other person didn't call to say congratulations. One person's child graduated from school, the other one didn't acknowledge him. Somebody posts something on the family chat, nobody responds. It's just unproductive conflict. Then we have personalized conflict when there are cliques and people just basically, form different, I'll say political parties. And so they personalize issues and they are focused on feelings, fighting feelings. And this brings competition in the family. But we can deal with it also positively by looking at conflict as something depersonalized, focused on issues, and in a cooperative and collaborative manner, we can address them. So, what can we do? How do we intervene in conflict? The first thing is that a family that has a conflict needs to accept that they have a conflict. Once you accept you have a conflict, then you can work towards choosing either a positive or a dysfunctional attitude to deal with it. Usually, I would expect that you're coached to choose a positive attitude. And to have a positive attitude, then you need to use what I call conflict management skills. What is number one? Number one is the escalation. You want to de-escalate the conflicts. Where conflicts are going on, for years, sometimes from parents to children to grandchildren, and the conflict and the tension continues, there needs to be what you call a ceasefire. And then when you are able to have this ceasefire, people can now express themselves using the I messages. I being myself rather than you. So, in having a conversation in a family about a difficult situation we are going through, the parties must look at each other and say, I personally feel hurt because you did this to me and it has made me feel this way. And I also feel that if you continue treating me this way, I will. So the finger is pointing at yourself, not the other party. And once you're able to say, I feel, I am hurt, you name those emotions, then it helps to de-escalate the conflict. So competition, um, personality clashes, threats, intentional hurt, violating social rules and norms, spreading rumor and gossip, and all of this help to make conflict escalate in the family. But when you allow feelings to be aired and you start to find alternatives, and then most importantly, listening, trying to understand and have empathy for the other person's position and be concerned about their feelings. These are things that help to de-escalate conflict in a family. And then you have some goodwill gestures. You haven't called your sister in the last 1 year because you're having an issue. And then you call her out of the blues, or send a text message, or wish her Happy New Year, or send a birthday cake. These goodwill gestures help to break the ice and de-escalate the conflict. Um, and then, like I said, the I messages, talking about your behavior, know, how your behavior made me feel, and then what is the consequence of that feeling. That's what the iMessage is all about. You behave this way, and it made me feel bad. And because I feel bad, I'm unable to talk to you or return your calls or visit you or be as close to you as I was. So, in that kind of situation, you are talking about yourself, not the other party. And when the other party hears what you're saying about yourself, it may also open them up to tell you about themselves and how they also feel. And then in that conversation, the conflict um, is now understood by both sides as to what are the issues, what is the conflict centered around, what did you want and what did I want, and why are we now feeling frustrated because we're not both getting what we want. And then in my own opinion, the key issue was this, whereas in your own opinion, the key issue was that. And so you find that this meeting of minds help the two parties to start to notice their differences. And I go back again to see what are the facts of the matter. So what are the common goals we can forge, and then what are the methods we can use to get there, and then what values do we share, and then what history we want to cooperate, so that we can do this differently next time. So when this happens in a family situation, you find that parties begin to understand one another, they start to grow, and in their intentional way of approaching one another, they are also both able to forge a common ecosystem where people feel free to express themselves, say how they feel, as opposed to saying how the other person, what the other person has done. And so when there's no finger pointing, conflict de-escalates, and then we can have a very good conversation. So I'll just end by giving 10 tips for family conflict resolution. Number one is stop speaking in anger. Like I said, anger is one of the first presentations in family conflict. When tempers flare, everybody should take some time to cool off. And then continue the conversation that you and when these issues become unresolved, then these little issues can become a blowout. So we quench the little foxes while they are foxes before they destroy the vine. So we should pick our battles and not escalate every issue that comes our way. Number three is also separate people from problems. When matters arise in a family and a conflict occurs, which will always happen, look at the heart of the matter objectively and discuss it rather than make things personal. You know. Then number four is also understand that the goal is to resolve and manage a conflict in a satisfactory manner and not to win. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be in the right? So if you're always wanting to win and to be right all the time, then everybody will always be at war with each other. But if you want to understand one another and resolve issues in a satisfactory way, not to win all the time, then we find that we can live in harmony. Also, when people are speaking, be respectful enough not to interrupt them. I mean, I think as a child, I was very guilty of that because when my siblings want to talk to me, I say, "Look, I know what you want to say," and I proceed to run them down. Now, it's important that you learn respect. Even if somebody is going in a particular direction that you know, allow them to land there. The audience therapy allows them to complete their thoughts and to listen to themselves. And this respect um, shows them that one, you value them, and that you're giving them the opportunity to speak uninterrupted will allow them to see things from your own viewpoint. So many times we interrupt our family members for the simple reason that we're familiar with them and we are contemptuous. So when your boss in the office is speaking, you put your hands behind your back and you listen to them. When your spouse is speaking, or your brother or your uncle or your family member, you shut them down and say, look, I know what you're saying, and then you interrupt them. This lack of respect is a very major form of conflict in the family and should be avoided. Also, keep an keep a calm, even tone when you speak to each other. Shouting just escalates the stress level and makes everybody defensive. One of the key things that children learn is that when adults keep shouting on each other in a family, the children also learn to shout and shout. And that's why we have basically a shouting society and a shouting family. It's important that you keep a calm tone and be civil, be respectful. You know, you can be having an argument with somebody next to you, and a third party doesn't even know you're arguing. One of the best things that Daniel Coleman says in Control Temperaments is that when you are angry, lower your voice. So you are really really angry, and you say to somebody, "Do you know you made me angry? What you did really really hurt me." Person be wondering, "Are you really angry? I mean, is it for real?" And that way, they feel quick to apologize and to make things right. When you are angry and you shout, then you increase the distance between you and the other party, and many times conflict escalates. Also, you may have heard it many times this evening. I've said it. Use I statements instead of you. Talk about yourself. When you are in a conflict and you are trying to talk to somebody else, don't tell them who they are, what they are, how stupid, how foolish, how irresponsible they are. No, tell them how you feel. Tell them how it hurts you, how the consequences of their action has made you feel. I remember when I was growing up, my father would tell me when I tell a lie, he says, "Do you know you have made me so disappointed with myself? I feel so hurt that you lied to me. I feel like you don't trust me. I feel like you're disappointed in me and you can't share the truth with me." And it made me today be somebody who is confident to tell people the truth, because I learned that you don't want to hurt other people's feeling. Now, I'm sure that if he had kept beating me and calling me a liar and telling me I was useless, I probably would be a crook today. But he never did that, and I thank him for it. So tell people how the behavior has made you feel. Tell them how it hurts you, and tell them the consequence of the hurt. And then you will find that they will be more amenable to reconciling and changing things, as opposed to your accusatory tone and your you statements, which never serve any purpose. Number 9 is try to have empathy. Try to understand other people's, viewpoints, their own ideas, where they're coming from. If you do that, you find that they'll be less defensive and they will let you into their world. And once you are in their world, then that conflict can be managed productively. And the moment you try to look at life from the other person's eyes, then you see things a bit more clearly. Also, learn to brainstorm solutions, and find how compromise can occur. Never let life in a family or around you be a take it or leave it matter. Never draw ultimatums. Never draw the red line in the sand. Always be ready to compromise, collaborate, and find a common ground for a solution. Number 10 is never have the resist the urge to drag unrelated, unresolved issues into the current conflict. Many times conflict occur and people dig back into the past and bring back all the topics together, and then make it so complex that the conflict becomes escalated, irresolvable, and eventually brings more frustration, more anger, and it becomes unproductive to both parties. And then, most importantly, like we do in mediation, we talk about terms of settlement. When a conflict and a common is resolved and common ground is found, make sure that everybody is clear with the solution and they are satisfied. Because you find that many conflicts in the family are unresolved, and many years later, that resolution was to somebody's favor. So a child at the share of his father's will now says that The last 3 times we quarreled, our father settled the quarrel in your favor, and I was not happy. I just merely endured it. And so now my father is dead. I'm going to use this opportunity to get even with you. I will not settle with you. So it's very important that when conflicts are resolved, we take feedback that everybody is happy, is satisfied, and can live with the settlement so that that conflict is packed away and we can move on. The family is a very robust place for developing human character, human personality, and most importantly, is a bedrock of community and society. And it's important that we manage the family unit, because when we get things right in that family unit, then we get things right in society. A family is where we get our values of empathy, of respect, of civility. It's very unfortunate today that people can't even speak to one another with respect, except you have money or you have some influence or power. Nobody respects you. What in a well brought on family, even a servant has dignity of labor, of respect. I can remember growing up that we had elderly maids and drivers and everybody, and my parents would never tolerate you being disrespectful to them. And this is important because it teaches you civility. And so today, I'm comfortable calling a shoemaker or a vulcanizer sir without feeling in any way self-depreciated, because I'm come to realize that everybody in his own station is deserving of respect. So a family is where we shape our children, is where we shape ourselves, is where we express our emotions and get judged and get feedback for it, so that our personality and our temperament is formed, and then we can engage society. And I'm hoping that we'll start to be intentional in using conflict in our homes productively. Let's learn to embrace our differences. Let's learn to listen to each other and stop interrupting. Let's learn to respect each other, either parent, child, child, parent, child, child, whatever dynamics it works out. And most importantly, when we are offended, let's learn to use I statements. I feel about this matter, that you did to me, this particular behavior, and it hurt me this way. And the consequences of it is that I cannot talk to you, or I cannot do this, or I'm not comfortable around you. When we learn to use I statements, people learn to listen to us. And I think we make some progress. So conflicts will never leave us, they're part of our lives. We can manage them, and in managing them, we can find harmony with each other, and most importantly, we can find harmony within ourselves. And I hope that this will be one of the good outcomes we'll take away from here. So, in the short time I have, I hope I'll be able to make some impact. Thank you very much, Dele.
Amazing night, amazing evening. Doctor, thank you so much, sir. We are so I'm I'm just pumped up about tonight. Doctor, one of the things I'm just going to first start by saying that just hear you speaking so calmly. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's really the voice of the mediator, the peacemaker, And I'm like, you're just a very good example. Guys on YouTube, I want you to please, give me one liner. How was this for you? I could see that a lot of us were not even chatting. We were, if you're like me, we're making notes. Wow, how was that for
Yes.
you?
I was struggling to keep up with his points. I mean, they were coming one after the other. And like he said, his tone was even, there was no undulation. I mean,
Calmly.
he right on the spot. Well done, sir. Thank you so
Doctor,
much.
thank you so much for joining us to
Thank you
just
very
do
much.
this today. We are so grateful. Guys listening, and just to reiterate that this is the Family Systems Engineers UK chapter
Yeah.
under the leadership of Praise for Warwear. And I just wanted to put the word out there that just in case you're not aware, we are representing family systems engineer who are really sold out to changing the game out there when it comes to family, when it comes to marriages. We want our world to do better. I want to produce better children, better families, better societies, winning families for winning societies. And that's what we're about. And so
Yeah.
this weekend, we thought to give you a taste, into the kind of counsel, the kind of wisdom that we work with that makes our families produce better. And I know that, yes, thank you, Yinla Yefa says that she was making notes or he was making notes, and that's why they couldn't chat. It was so simple. Doctor made it so simple. Oh my God, I love it. I hope it just pierced through your heads and your minds. Gani says amazing. Adeleke says it was insightful indeed. Sheyi is putting the fire, emoji there saying it was fire. Yes, it was. And I just hope that we picked, as much as we could. One of the things that I want to begin to reiterate that Doctor said is what is swept under the carpet does not go away. I think
Yeah.
that even as practitioners,
Yeah.
you would know that working with couples, a lot of times what we see is things that have been swept under the carpet. They just
Yes.
blow up. They just,
Exactly.
you don't wonder what has happened, but it's because they had padded them there. They thought he had gone, but no, he was
They
waiting
don't
to
ever
go.
go away.
I
We
love
al-
it.
we always tell clients and counselors that when you pile things under the carpet, what you succeed in doing is that they begin to swell up and form a bump, and then every family member begin to trip on that bump. And when you begin to trip as family members, then crisis and the whole situation is turned upside down. So they just go up, go up, go up, and then boom,
No,
escalates.
it blows up
Amazing.
like a
Yeah.
bomb.
Hmm.
Oh, doctor, you said something. I love how you brought even the sibling mix because
Yes,
this age where we live and we have our families on WhatsApp, everybody, you know what I'm talking about, and we're all in groups, and you'll be
Groups.
surprised how it's even easier to offend each other just with a message or just by not responding in the group. How many of you know what I'm
Jackie,
talking about?
Jackie, I had a sister of mine wasn't on good terms with me for a long time. She said because she noticed that whenever she posts on the family group, I don't respond to her messages, and I never knew. So he was right on spot when he said
Yeah.
it. I mean,
No,
so many
doctor was
areas
really
that
spot on. Dr. Agbelusi,
yes,
thank you again.
Yes.
You
Pleasure.
said just make that phone call. That goodwill gesture will de-escalate the conflict. And it's the
Yeah.
honest truth. Just do it. Couples, I hope that if you were here, I mean, you got all the wisdom you need to start managing your conflict better moving forward. Did you hear doctor say something? Conflict will never go away. So you
yeah,
better get ready to just learn how to manage it and do right by it. It says use the positive approach. Okay. And that was something. Don't use the negative way. Don't fight. Don't use the unproductive way. Don't use the personalized way. Don't do it. Don't take things personal. But look at
yeah,
that part, where you say, okay, what is happening? What have this is how I feel. I love that I statement. Oh, wow. Oh, we use it a lot. We use it to, help couples when we're working with couples. Say
mm-hmm,
how you feel. Don't say
yeah,
you make me angry. There's nothing like that. No, I got
I'm
angry
angry.
when
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
said that or when you did that. Don't say you made me
yeah,
angry. Don't point fingers. Don't attack.
mm-hmm,
It is
mm-hmm.
not you against your partner. You are both together.
Do that,
I
you're
really
a team.
love it. I love it. And so we want to take questions. Yesterday, I already had a question in. Some of my people who I sent the link to had come to say, and doctor, this is for you. I know you would help us a bit before we go on to the next session. And guys, for Wowe, our own president, founder, our own guru is coming in a bit. But before he comes, we want to milk Doctor a little bit more. Someone has
Yes,
said to me yesterday, my husband would just go quiet. He's not fighting with me, but if I make a request, he says, take it. He has left a lot of things to me to just run. And I just feel like there's something not right somewhere there. He's just always very, you do it your way. I loved how Doctor brought the personality mix into it. Wow, were you not excited to hear that as
I
well?
was. I was. In fact, I was while he was talking. So I was trying to analyze myself as against my siblings. So who is the shark? Who's the owl?
Exactly.
Who is the fox in the family? And I started, okay. So I looked at myself. I think I believe I'm maybe because I'm the first child. So I believe that I'm kind of owl. I want
Oh.
to say, oh yes, let's do. But in my own marriage, my husband is the quiet type. He's before we got to this level where we're able to resolve, our conflict on the go. My husband was the type that if there's an issue, he will just go quiet on you. I could talk from now to tomorrow and he will not say a single word in response. And
Mm,
that would now escalate my own anger and the whole place will be hot
mm,
and stuff.
mm,
So
mm.
this is really,
It's
really
amazing.
important.
Doctor, can you
Yes.
help this couple? This couple who is, this wife who is saying, he's just letting me do everything. You can tell that he doesn't want trouble. I feel like I must have done something wrong in the past, where so he has now said, you know what, let me just do whatever she wants. How can I walk my steps back to a better relationship with my husband?
Well, of course, I'm talking out of context,
Yes.
but this is like a kind of shark and turtle kind of relationship. So the shark is aggressive. I mean, it's not wrong to have any kind of personality type.
Yes.
We're basically our makeup, our DNA, our environment. I mean, if I grew up in a police barrack and everybody was sharp and or an army barrack, I'll be a different person. If I grew up in Afghanistan or in Iraq, I'll be a different person. So all of us, I mean, even if you have twins and you raise Peter somewhere in North London and you raise Paul in South London, it'd be two entirely different individuals. So never be ashamed of your personality, your temperament. Accept it. Know what you can control and what you can't control. And most of the times, all of us usually with age and experience become phlegmatic, we become that owl. We all eventually, when we have had our life experience, we all end up as the owl. Unfortunately, we'll have wrecked many relationships and down the line. So basically, you find that in this kind of couple, you will have an age difference. I don't know. So if the husband is more mature, maybe he's 10 years older, he doesn't want to, it just calms down. And it's like, let me give her time. She will calm down later. Maybe she's a shark today, but she'll be an owl tomorrow. So I've seen life. I've seen my friends who have gone through all of this. So I'm not going to fight her about the small stuff. So it's just giving her time to grow. Again, it could be that there is some hurtful words said, and so the guy is having some resentment, and he feels that if I bring it out into the open, I don't have a safe space to express it. So I mean, it's beautiful to have people like you who people can come in with and talk. One of the things that people do is they go to get married, they have at best 3 months of marriage counseling, and then they get married and they want to go the rest of their life. Just that's the end. Like driving school. I have my license, I can drive for the next 40 years. No more going back to the road safety or the road traffic division. But it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You need intervention from time to time to put it in. And there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
You have somebody mature, somebody who is mentoring, somebody who is coaching, somebody who is guiding you in taking decisions, in smoothing out quarrels, in having a safe space. I think it's the Catholic Church that does that. They do a sponsor at the marriage. But I don't know if it's just ceremonial or if they actually take
on the couple.
Take control of the couple. I don't know if that happens because like you don't look for somebody who is well to do to make you a sponsor. I don't know if that other works out, but eventually the concept is very clear. Sometimes you need interventions. You need people who have crossed that bridge before, who have made that mistake before. For instance, when I got married, not going to almost 25, 27 years ago, I would basically sometimes fight my wife, and I'm comfortable for 2 months not to talk to her, and I'm perfectly happy.
Wow.
Now I look at myself and I'm wondering when I was crazy then. Because I'm wondering what was I doing? Well, if I had someone who was in my position now who says, why are you keeping a silent treatment with your wife? You guys have no kids yet. She has no other friend. And at that time there was no phone, there was no GSM around. You want to make her run mad? Come on, sit down with her, tell her what's going on. You guys work things out and move on. If I had someone to tell me that, I'll have probably had more happy moments at that time. So yes, you need someone to intervene and never be afraid to ask for help. So in every situation, there's always, the story behind the story.
Yes.
And so you need somebody who is non-judgmental to hear you out and just give you tips as to how you can make your relationship and your life better. I think people need to realize that if you have a doctor, a mechanic, a barber, a cleaner, you need to have a relationship expert to support you. It's just part of one of the things you need in life. It's just something you need. And if you have to pay for it, so be it. The cost of paying for that expert is cheaper than the dysfunction that will happen in your family and your generations.
Exactly.
There are people you see in prison today, or people who are carrying drugs, or people who are victims of violence, either they're abusers or abused. And if you trace it back to their family life, there's dysfunction. There's clear dysfunction.
Mm.
And that's why you find even the prison and correctional facilities try to have mentors come into the prison, and find that when the people have people mentoring them even in prison, they tend to come out early and come out more reformed, which is one of the problems we have in our own criminal justice system in Nigeria. People are thrown in there and they come out more hardened, because you need to always see somebody who has walked the path, and then they show you where the skeletons are buried, and then you can walk that path. So all of us just need to be a bit more quiet, a bit more observant, and also give people space to be themselves around us, and then bring ourselves into community. I always say the word communication is about talking, speaking to each other, and communication is for me the bedrock of community. So you don't have community when there's no talking. So when there's a conflict, it's very easy to withdraw and just enter your shell and keep quiet. But no, you need to go do the opposite. Talk about it. You talk about it positively, and you'll find that it is cheaper and easier to talk about the conflict than to sweep it under the carpet.
Thank you,
Thank
Doctor.
you. Thank you. Dr. Agbolisi, there's a question on the screen, but I have a question I was waiting for you to finish to ask, then we'll add this one. This is something prevalent when we talk to clients and couples that we work with. You see situations where the wife is having conflict with the husband's family, but the husband is unable to step in to protect his wife. And it could be both ways, but mostly from our own experience, usually the wife having conflict with her husband's relatives, that's her in-laws, but the husband is not, protecting her, playing his role, as in to protect her from the family. What is your advice, for such a person? Because right now we have a situation like that in our hands with one of the couples that we are working with. What would you advise?
Okay, you can't change how people react to you, but you can change how you react to people. A very quick story I will share. A lady had intractable issues and conflicts with her mother-in-law, and she went to a native doctor and says, "I want to kill my mother-in-law." And he says to her, "Take this drug, put it in her food. Once she has eaten it, she will die in 2 months. Now, for that 2 months, just make sure that you are as nice to her as possible. If you're wicked to her, she won't die. So just be very nice to her for that 2 months, and after that, she will die, and your life will be over." And she did exactly that. She gave the woman the food. The woman ate the food, and he now started saying, "Mommy, how are you feeling? Mommy, do you want the cake? Mommy, should I do this for you? Mommy, should I drive you out? Mommy, I bought this dress for you." And 2 months later, she came to the native doctor and said, "Please, can we reverse what I did? I don't want my mother-in-law to die anymore. Can we reverse what I did? I mean, she's a new person now." And the man said to her, "I just gave you a placebo. There was nothing going to kill your mother-in-law. It was what you were doing for that 2 months. Just keep doing it. It was you that needed to change. It was not the woman. It was not the woman. Problem was always you."
Yeah.
So we are very quick to point fingers at people. Yes, people are difficult and intractable, but we can always choose our response. And that's why I said, know what you can control and what you can't control.
Yeah.
So some people may know what buttons to press to make me show that I'm not a calm, I'm a very difficult person. But do I let them press those buttons? Because you find the same person who is at home shouting and growling like the lion of the family, then he has a phone call and it's his boss. And he goes, "Morning, sir. How are you, sir? No problem, sir. I'll check the file. I'll call you right back." So why didn't he talk that same way 2 minutes earlier with his family? Why was he so angry? So you find that he could manage that emotion, but he just thought that maybe I can blow my trumpet, no one can do anything to me. So we need to, if we need to take anger management classes, take it. If you need to take communication classes, take it. We need to know how to express ourselves positively. We need to know how to dialogue with people and have empathy for them. And then people, when they can't see things our way. I mean, they have their clear differences. I mean, I know a couple that eventually got divorced. The boy grew up with his grandmom, very poor family. And this girl grew up in a university. Her parents are both professors. So when she goes and buys frankfurters, baked beans, eggs, conflicts, he keeps saying, "Why are you wasting so much money? Can't you make pap and akara? I mean, what's all this rubbish? For breakfast, you're spending all this money." Now, it was coming from somewhere, and she was coming from somewhere. Unfortunately, they're both divorced today, and we moved on. But I wish there was someone to help them manage the fact that none of you is wrong. Nobody is being wasteful. It's just where you're coming from. So we need people to help us intervene. We need to get people who know what they're doing to help us intervene, so that we can understand and have empathy for the other person's opinion and differences, and then manage it. Like I said, conflict never goes away, but if you manage them properly, we'll be in harmony.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I don't know if there's still time for this other question.
Yes, that question, yes. When you are taken granted because you express your anger with calmness and maturity, I mean, you can change. I mean, you've come to a place of calmness and maturity, and the other party takes it for granted because it thinks you are weak or you don't have the right position. Now, you may have to express yourself, in a maybe a bit more profound and more explicit way, or basically give them time to grow. Just have some forbearance, have some perseverance. Because the funny thing is that lady who is taking you for granted today, I know it's so noisy and who you can't live with anymore. She goes to the next guy and she's just an angel. Maybe if I waited a bit more, your relationship would probably have changed. So when you have started expressing your differences with calmness and maturity, another party has done the opposite. Just give them time to grow. Dialogue more. Keep expressing. Keep at it. Life and relationships are like gardens. We plant today, but we don't get flowers tomorrow. You have to let the sun do its work, let the water do its work, let oxygen, chlorophyll do its work, and eventually you will look back and you'll have a beautiful garden. But you don't want to plant it today and say, "Oh, I want no roses tomorrow, some out."
Yeah.
So, no. Person taking you for granted today could be your best, your best person tomorrow.
Doctor, you have been amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming to add value to families that have listened today. We appreciate your contribution with the work we're doing at FSC. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Guys, that's Dr. Agbelu. Can you put in the comments? Can you say your thank you as he bows out?
Yeah.
Doctor, someone says you were amazingly awesome. Someone says you are awesome. Clement says I was so blessed. Someone says kindly share your contact. Oh, they said we should share your contact. That means that they really want to sit with you. And that's amazing. Oh,
yeah,
that's
I'm
so
on LinkedIn.
good.
Just check my name. Adeyemi Agbelusi on LinkedIn. Feel free.
Fantastic. Guys, go on LinkedIn and look for Adeyemi Agbelusi. Yes, you can contact him. And I was going to also put a word out there for for FSC practitioners, myself, my colleagues, Boku, you saw yesterday, and a lot of us who are now in the UK. The word out there is that we are here to serve you. Do you see? So even the mother-in-law strategy is one of the things that we help, couples or even wives or even husbands with. And so you want to sit with us for 30 minutes to 1 hour. We will give you the magic, to make sure that you and your mother-in-law are like 5 and 6. And I mean it. It's work we are called to do. And, Doctor said it so beautifully and profoundly. But Doctor, this is where we say thank you, sir. God bless. God honor you. Thank you for partnering with us. May you see the better world that your heart desires, even as you have joined us at work.
Amen. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. So good. Wow.
Wow, Jackie, that was amazing.
Up for the next. I feel like I need to take a cup of water. Oh, Baku is here.
Oh, Baku is here.
Yes, I'm back. Hello, people.
Oh my God, Baku, that was so good.
I know, that was just. You know what? I want to talk like Dr. Agbelusi. So this evening, I'm going to pass my message across without shouting. See, okay, calm down, be calming down.
We're waiting.
And I cannot. Guys, I can't. It's not in my blood. But
we are waiting. We'll see when you put your compatible.
My husband will say Ola tomorrow. You
see, that's one of the things about FSC.
Oh,
Here,
wow.
we are ourselves.
Yes.
Okun talks this way. Okun likes to do this way. So I enjoy me. So the thing we're preaching and telling you is that be yourself. We told you about the fact that we're building a new nation, a new tribe. I like how you prayed just now, Jackie. You said, may the Lord help you to see what your heart desires concerning our world. And that's about the peace, that's about the love, that's about empathy. That's what we preach here. There's no hatred. We don't see race, we don't see gender, we don't see color, we don't see anything here. We just see humanity. Humanity at its best. Yes. I am because you are. Okay, ladies, thank you so much. Thank you, ladies.
All right then.
As in the shouting is hard for me. Esther is confirming. In fact, okay, ladies, we've got someone really, really special that we are getting on. We are gone for time, so I'm going to just bring him on. But before I do, guys, you need to go and share the link. Go and share this. I told you when we started, I said, bring all your family life questions. The toughest questions you have in family. Go and bring them, because we're going to be answering them. So I'm good. In fact, I'm good. We're finishing now. We're going. Jackie, let's go. We're done. Guys, if you're not, sharing the link and bringing all the people that that, then we're going. UK people, get your, okay, let's do a poll. If you're in the UK, let's see you. Wherever you're dialing in from, let's see those who are winning this challenge.
Type in the chat. We want to see
the chat where you are logging in from. Let's even see. Let's do a poll. Then I'll know whether to call the next speaker or not. Where are you logging in from? Let's see who is winning. Okay, so I'm giving you a moment to invite, get people. People are still saying thank you so much, doctor. Okay, I'll just put in the link to make sure that you've got your friend, your brother, your sister. Yeah, are you seeing where they're logging in from? I'm just putting the link.
Seeing that here, yes. I'm seeing that someone is
my husband. Yes. So when we get people, like that. I've just shared the link. Let's get more people. Amazing session. Thank you all. So there's something that I don't know who has seen there's this what's it called? The skits that they do. There's a particular guy, one of them. He does this thing that after they'll ask him a question, what do you think is the meaning of this? And he begins to go on and he explains. And then they'll say, you got a of them all. I don't know if you've ever heard that thing. That guy makes me laugh a lot. So I am delaying because when you say Jackie has been talking about, we saw a principal yesterday. Now you want to see the organ. You say the organ of them all.
I know him, Jackie. I know him, Boku.
So funny. Okay, so the ancestor is coming.
The great-grandfather, a family system engineer, the great-great-grandfather is coming.
But he doesn't like being called that. But this is our time. It comes on. Let's use this opportunity.
Yes. No, but seriously, Boko, listening to, my FSC models, I just always felt like, what brain is in Praise for Wowe? And I mean it.
I don't get
I'm like,
it.
Who put this in mind? You know how, oh gosh, who put this mind in Praise for Wowe? Like he just has the heart, he has the solutions, he has the strategy. I'm just so grateful that I gave myself to the process. I've been helping my clients, couples, singles better since I took the FSC program. I'm telling you, and that's why we're asking everyone to join Boko. Is that not why we're asking them to join?
I know.
I
know. So I know. I'm just going to be reading the profile of this person. And guys, as I'm reading before, you understand what I'm saying. Its profile reads, and I'm going to just start. It says, Praise for Wowe is an unconventional thinker. He's a futurist, the creator and the premier trainer of the Family Systems Engineering Certification, a body of knowledge that assists families build systems that support their happiness. Is an author in the field and frame of reference for many across 4 continents. He has developed several life-changing content spanning across marital systems, family system, engineering, family systems engineering, child abuse prevention, sexuality education, and out of the box parenting system. Come on, guys. Everything you need about family is in here. Praise is a choice trainer, is a consultant, an advisor to governments, corporate brands, educational and religious bodies. He's a family life coach to a number of families across the globe and a resident coach to several organizations. See profile. Okay, join me as I bring on this gentle guy. Yeah, you know it's coming out. You need to behave.
Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Oh, bless. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. You guys are cracking me up. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for this invitation. So good to be here. So good to be here. Yeah.
Over to you, sir. We'll just go back.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to really appreciate everyone and thank you, the UK chapter of the Family System Engineering Practitioners, for putting this together. This is amazing, amazing. I've learned a whole lot. I've taken notes myself and I'm super excited. I mean, guys listening, don't mind them. It wasn't me they were talking about. They're talking about themselves because no man is man except through others. So for everything I do, I think I do through guys. And I mean, these guys have pushed me. They've made me better because I have to always up the game to lead. Never easy, but I'm grateful for the gift of all of you, especially the UK chapter, Bokun, Pastor Dele, Sister Uwa, Jacqueline. I mean, you guys are just amazing, amazing. Nigeria is saying to me now that you guys are, up the game and they will need to respond. North America is saying the same thing. Okay, thank you very much for all you do. Now I have a short period of time to share on culture and communication. Now I'll try to see if I can share a screen so that it's easy to do this. I'm a fast talker, so sometimes it becomes very tough to. So let me see if I can share my screen. I just need to be sure. Okay, so I'll see if I can do this. Just give me a moment, please. Okay, I think I can do it. Yeah. So I'm going to be speaking on your culture and communication. Okay. Now, so please, you don't have to bother about my face. Just listen. I would like to start by asking a question. If this guy annoys you, I mean, by the way, this is Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world. I mean, it's between him and Elon Musk. If this guy annoys you by stepping on your toes, how will you correct him? Answer that question in your mind. I mean, you are aware that this guy is Jeff Bezos and he annoys you by stepping on your toes. And you knew it was Jeff Bezos. What will be your response to him? Will you shout? Will you yell? Will you tell him, are you blind? Are you stupid? Right? I am so sure none of us recognizing this personality will say that. Why are you suddenly able to calm down and communicate effectively, knowing fully what I was about Jeff Bezos, when you would actually have done the same thing differently if it wasn't him? Second question. If this spouse annoys you, I mean, this is your spouse, your husband, how will you correct him? Let's even say that you are a celebrity woman. How will you correct this spouse? Now, I know that some of you will say, oh, no, I'll talk to him gently, with respect. What about other people? Now, look at this. If this wife annoys you by serving your food without adding water as a man, how will you correct? And you are so sure that you are married to Oprah. Then you would begin to realize that a whole lot of us may not actually have respect. Maybe what we are is that we are respecters of men. So it now means that the capacity to effectively communicate with honor, with dignity, resides in us depending on who is in front of us or how we interpret and perceive the person in front of us. So when people say this person talks to me inappropriately, most of the times it is the way they view you or the way they see you. And sometimes because they've spoken to you in a particular way, you want to respond to just show. So someone came to a group one day, I think precisely last week, a group I belong to, and he said that his neighbor called him a fool. He said if not that he was held back, he was going to show him, and was going to, that would have killed him. So he had gone ranting. So I responded that you were truly going to show that you were truly a fool. Then it dawned on him to say, praise, how come I never thought about that? And I said to him, the guy did not insult you. He only called something that you knew existed in you. So what he did was to trigger you, and you were going to act according to his own template. You see, one of the things I never do is I hate control. So no matter how much you try to annoy me on social media, I'm going to respond. If I'm going to clap back, I'm going to clap back in a nice way with dignity. I'm not going to engage you in some kind of ruffle and kind of fights that people engage themselves in. Because I have always said to people that, you see, happiness is creating and maintaining the heaven within you in a way that the hell without you loses its power over you. So I'll share a couple of fundamental truths. Then I'll give you about 7 tips that can help you when it comes to effective communication. Number 1, the most important key that can unlock every door on this planet is communication, right? People have gone to war over inappropriate communication, and people have shed their sword with the right kind of communication. Number 2, the bedrock of every relationship is communication, because it has destroyed and built relationships over the years. That people have gone off relationship because we say that when communication ends, relationship is dead. Trust me, the moment communication is over, it's game over. As a matter of fact, in coaching session or therapy, you will know that what many people call sex problem in the marriage is actually a communication problem. If you dig deeper, that communication, because sex should actually be a 3-course meal of preview, view, and review, or placing order placement, order reception, then order review, right? That's what meal, how do we want it, right? While we're eating it, how is it? Then afterwards, what's our report card? That's what sex is all about. So it stems from communication. Trapped in every human being, however, is a king and a fool. The one you speak to is the one that responds to you, by Mike Murdoch. Now, I partly agree with this. Sometimes I don't really agree, because you see, if there's no fool in me, there's no way you can bring out the fool in me. I always say to people, if you squeeze me today and Mukaila comes out, then I wasn't praised. I'm actually Mukaila. Now, trapped in every human being is a king and a fool, including your children. If you speak to children with respect, they will respond to you. So when parents say to me, my children don't respond to me, they don't listen to me, the question is, do you respect your children? Or you just feel a sense of entitlement because you are the one making provision available? They should naturally just respect you, right? If you respect someone, because whatever you respect, you attract. If you respect them, you realize that you bring out the best in them. Now, many can talk, but not everyone can communicate, because while talking is natural, communication is learned and intentional. Anyone can open their mouth to talk. Communication, however, requires a lot of skills, and that's the challenge a lot of people have in their marriage. They have when it comes to relating with others, including their children, that it would probably take you maybe 3 minutes to communicate, while it will take you like 2 seconds to talk. So you can say to your child, get up and leave that place, right? He will respect you and respond, but it will not feel too good because you have said the right thing, maybe the wrong way. But if you look at your child and say, sweetheart, you know I love you, you are the best that exists to me. You are a royalty. I was just wondering where you're sitting is inappropriate for a king like you. Don't you think if you move here and sit here, you will look more like a proper king and you sit on your throne? However, if you don't feel like living, it's still okay, but I just thought this place is better. What do you think it's going to do? It's going to move. You have said the same thing in 2 different ways. So oftentimes, because we think we're past for time, we can just open our mouth. We forget that the goal of your mouth is not for talking. The goal of words is creation. That you are creating with your mouth, with your words rather. So if you can't create, you will damage people. They may obey you, especially if you're a child or your wife or something, but they are not happy with you. But since they don't have the capacity to respond to you, they may keep quiet. So communication becomes one of the most important skills that everyone needs to learn and that can help you win. Everyone can communicate, but not everyone communicates effectively because it takes a few more minutes to communicate than to talk. And that is often stressful for many of us. So you just want to open your mouth and talk, right? You just want to say the way it comes to you. So when I hear people say, I say my mind, I say my mind, that's someone who is not tactful. Because there is what to say, there is when to say, there is how to say, there is when to say, and there is when not to even say. Sometimes silence is also a form of communication. So our communication style is often dependent on our self-image. This is not taught. It's dependent on your self-image of yourself and others. We can communicate better than we think of people per time. So the question is, how well have you treated yourself? How well have you been treated? And how has it affected how you treat others? So check the way many of us communicate. It was the way our parents talked to us. Our fathers, our mothers, they most likely traumatize us with their shout. I mean, every time I get to a place and I hear parents shout on their children, I get a bit of trauma because it takes me back to growing up. If you broke a plate, you just hear, where one here. If you don't speak English, it just means, what madman is that? Right? Now, so my father was projecting his frustration on me and is reflecting the way he talks. So when I see people communicating appropriately, I have a sense of empathy for them because they are not aware, because your words reveal you per time. Now, so if you are, as the thinking is out, so is out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So your worldview is what is reflected in how you talk. When I drive around Lagos, Nigeria, right? And I see the bus drivers, some of them can drive inappropriately. You see, most of the times I'm laughing, and my wife will ask me, why are you laughing? Don't you get angry? I said, because they're creating fun for me. I said, because I've settled it in my mind that I cannot control what they do, but I can control my response, because some of these guys, you don't know what they're going through. Some of them, their wives have locked them up in the morning, they are fought, they are frustrated. So how can you expect them to be normal, in a space like this? So the abnormality will create fun for me, instead of me getting angry and getting worked up. And that's why you will hardly see me get into a fight, simply because I realize that if I speak to the king in the person, the king will respond to me. You see, in Norway, they discovered that every time they apply corporal punishment on criminals and they release them, they went to commit the same offense. So they researched into what they were doing, and they realized that it wasn't that they were stealing, it was an identity problem, a perception and self-image issue. So what did they do? They changed prison system into 5-star hotel system. So they created 3 fundamentals. That when you treat a human being like an animal, he will respond with the energy of a beast. If you relate with a human being as a human being, he will respond with the energy of a human being. But if you treat a human being like a royalty, he will respond back like a king. So they started treating them like kings. And those guys, some of them left prison to go and become medical doctors. It's the same way how you see people. We call it perceptual code in parenting. What we believe about people determine how we behave, and our behavior towards them drives our communication, right? And so when you talk to drivers anyhow, it's because you can talk to your driver anyhow. When you talk to the house help anyhow, when you talk to your husband or your wife anyhow, it's because there's a sense of superiority in you that think that your bigness is dependent on their smallness. Because if what you see is the most important person in your life, you will not talk to them like that. So somehow there's a shift in your mind, even though you are still saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. There is a worldview. There is a new definition of them that is aligning with the way you talk to them. So why do we struggle with communication? Number one is our upbringing. How were you raised? Go back and look at the way your father spoke to you, your mother spoke to you. I mean, you can write it down in your note. Do you think that they spoke to you with respect, or they spoke to you, with ignominy, right? If you have to qualify the way they spoke to you, would you say they spoke to a human being, a royalty, or they spoke to a criminal? Can you attempt to answer that question for those of you watching on YouTube, right? Or you can answer it in your note. Did you feel like you were spoken to as a human being when they try to correct you, or they spoke to you as a criminal, right? So upbringing can affect, in fact, a lot of us pick the communication skill, the language pattern of our parents. So it shows up in what we say when we get angry. Number two, are the societal and the cultural expression that we grew up in. Now, if you check your culture, how does your culture see women and men? How does your culture define husband, wife, and children? The culture I came from defines men as the superior gender that must be worshipped irrespective of his competence. The moment he's a man, he must just be worshipped. That is my understanding of the way, men pride themselves and the way they relate with themselves. So an average man in my culture, for example, feels insulted if a woman is correcting him, because he feels, what effrontery do you have as a woman to correct me? But the same man, right, goes to work and he bows to his madam. Let's say he has an upline who is a woman, bows to her. He doesn't disrespect his madam, even though in his heart he disrespects her because he's wondering, why should it be a woman? So when we have not accurately defined who a man and a woman is, that's the genesis of a crisis. So I always say to people, when you look at male and female, the only difference is biology. So I always say the word man is the word humanity, right? The word man is not gender-centric. Originally, it wasn't gender-centric. Now, a female is simply a feminine expression of humanity, man. That's what a female is. A male is a masculine expression of humanity. Both of them are man, so both of them actually have the capacity to have a vision, to have the passion, to live their lives even without marriage, to become everything they want to be. Our world will make us believe contrary, but if we stay at that level, mutual respect will come. So when you look at a lady, what you see is the feminine expression of you. When I look at a man as a lady, what I see is a masculine expression of me. If I see me, then I cannot talk to you better than I talk to me. So if you check the way many people talk to themselves, you will no longer blame them when you see the way they talk to other people. So someone looks at herself and say, I am finished. I am over. Hey, I am struggling. No, everybody will leave me. How do you expect that person to talk well to someone else? Because from within, she has low self-worth, low self-esteem. The languages she uses on herself are bad languages. So how can that person talk well to others? In fact, as a matter of fact, there's an exercise I would have made you do, but we don't have time. Usually, I allow my people to stand up in class and attempt to praise themselves for 5 minutes non-stop. I always tell them, I give a caveat. 1, you must not quote any holy book, whether Bible or Quran. 2, you must not repeat the same words twice. And your voice intensity must not drop. Guess what? An average person cannot go past 2 minutes before they sit down, simply because they have been socialized to praise God. They have been socialized to even praise others. Every time they are tempted to praise themselves, they call them proud. So they have equated, pride, failure, and bad to praising themselves. Now, if you don't do self-talk and self-communication positively within yourself, how do you communicate effectively with other people? So your culture, how does your culture describe man, fair woman? How does your culture describe a husband? Is a husband the ATM machine, that finances everybody, someone that cannot be questioned? How does your culture define who a wife is? Is a wife, that slave that you have gone to acquire, who comes to make your food, is in the other room, is in the kitchen, and take a baby milk production factory. Is that what you see? So if you check the way many of our men, especially those of them in diaspora, speak to their wives, is sometimes a function of the way their father spoke to their mother or the way they see you. So when a man gets married to a wife and he thinks, I'm acquiring a property, he cannot talk with respect, right? Except when he's very, very excited, or maybe when he wants sex. What he's saying, you think you are a wife, what the guy is saying is a slave. I acquired you, I'm the one responsible for you, right? The same way, if all you see in your man is just, someone that is there, you're going to talk to them anyhow, because like I said, words are for creation. Now, there is no culture that is, so when people say Africans don't speak well, we talk anyhow, it's not true. We've not always been like that. In the year 1400, Edo State created Benin City, created the best city in the world. They are the first city to have a semblance of street light before the British came and destroyed them. So what kind of communication existed in the Benin culture? Go and check. People spoke to each other with respect. Men spoke to women with respect, with honor, because they realized that the more the esteem of the people is good, the more they're able to build a kingdom. And that was why it was very difficult to take down Benin Kingdom, right? Before eventually they overpowered them and stuff. Now, from that moment, by the time it got to 17 something, a new narrative has taken place. But I always say that there's no culture that is bad. You only have badly behaved people projecting their pain on the culture, because culture is the way of life of a people at every point in time. So when people say, this is my culture, I'm asking the question, what was the origin of the culture? Who were the custodians of the culture? How did they create the culture? Why did they create the culture? What was their worldview before they created the culture, right? Because a lot of the things we call our culture and the people who created it, it was based on selfish interest. And if it's selfish interest, that's why it cannot pass the test of time, because truth will catch up with it and you realize that it's no longer relevant. So society and culture can actually define how you communicate. That's why every home must now become a new village where you create a new culture on how your children talk to you and how they talk to themselves and how you talk to your spouse, because children learn from what they see you do. Number 3 is significant emotional experience. Our pain, our successes. If you are fond of, if you have had trauma in your life, it will reflect in how you talk. A lot of people, when they talk, you see negative energy. There are people I talk to, if I'm avoiding talking to them because I feel drained, right? Because they've said a lot of negativity, right? But you see around some other people, and after you leave them, you feel like taking on the world. It's the function of the significant emotional experience. So, do you respect people, or you are a respecter of person? Respect means I will accord every human being the highest form of regard, irrespective of who they are and where I meet them. Respecter of men means that my behavior will change depending on who is in front of me or what I need. And that's the way many of us operate. You see, there is nothing to lose. My mother taught me for treating people right. There is a lot, however, to lose for treating them anyhow. Now, there are 3 critical pillars of communication. Number 1 is trust. Number 2 is perception. Number 3 is connection. That if I am equally yoked with you, right, then I'll communicate effectively with you, because even when you think I'm inappropriately communicated, I don't feel it. I don't see. I mean, remember when you were friends with some people, right? And they talk anyhow they want to talk. You don't feel bad because they're your friends. You know they mean well. And when you don't like what they have said, you will tell them, I don't like what you have said. And they will immediately say, I'm sorry. So that's connection. When there is connection, people communicate effectively. Number 2 is trust, right? That if you have a reputation of always delivering on promise, people, when you talk, people will listen. A lot of people are rebellious against what you're about to say because everything you have promised, you have not delivered on. Before you married the lady, you said you will give her, oh, you're the best of the world. Now you've married this 2 years, you don't even talk to her anyhow. I mean, you don't even talk to her with respect. You don't even see her. She makes a new hair. You don't communicate about it. Your words does not nurture, right? So when you are saying something, they don't believe you anymore because you don't have a reputation of delivering on promise. Number 3 is perception, which is how do you see what is standing in front of you? If your spouse is a royalty, how will you communicate a royalty? How do you correct a royalty? So it's not much more about what you want to say. It's about who you need to be to reach out to who you need to talk to. Every time you talk to someone and the person feels like going to kill themselves, you may not have communicated inappropriately. Now, I'm not talking about some people who have terrible esteem that even your best attempt to correct them, they will still think you are hurting them and think there are people. That's another extreme. That's not what we're talking about, right? So perception, how do you see people? Now, here are a couple of tips to effective communication. Number 1, determine your signal and be intentional about it at all times. This is often dependent on your self-image and personal identity. You know, people ask me all the time, Chris, how do you create time for everyone? And I always say that you always find time to create, you always find the time to be with the people that are your priority. So it's not as if I have time for everyone, but if you are my priority, I'll create time for you. It may take me some time to respond, but I'll be there, right? I will answer a question that I need to answer, right? If I can do it for free, I'm going to do it for free. So you need to understand that it's about your self-image. How do you see yourself? So if I mention Serena Williams, what comes to your mind is lawn tennis. If I mention Lionel Messi or Ronaldo, it's football that comes to your mind. If I mention Tiger Woods, you know it's golf. If your name is mentioned, what comes to people's mind? If I hang around you for 5 minutes and you can't feel your signal, something is wrong, because there are 3 levels of signal, maybe even 4. You can send the right signal, you can send the wrong signal, you can send mixed signal, and you can even send no signal. So you need to determine your signal intentionally. When we were in school, there was a lady called Yetunde. She's in the UK right now. If she actually served you food, she would add water almost immediately. So we always say that food without water is a taboo. That was the signal she sent consistently. So when she said to me that, oh, praise, 7 brothers from my fellowship had come to ask her out, and they all said God told them that she's their wife, I started laughing, right? Meanwhile, there are some other ladies who had nobody looking out for them. Because every time you sat with Yetunde, she spoke to you with courtesy, with honor, with respect. You wanted to be with her. So what is your signal? When you hang around with people, what do they feel around you? You need to answer that question. So when people say, you can't determine what people say about you, that's on one side. On the other side, you can if you are intentional. So I'm very intentional when I say with people, because when you leave me, I always, in fact, many years ago, year 2001, I will always say to my friends that if I hang around with 5 minutes and your brain doesn't shift, then it wasn't me you met. You must have met my spirit, right? So determine your signal and be intentional so you can see that this has nothing to even do with talk. It starts with you, because what is in your abundance in your mind is what you output. Number 2, engage in mental detoxification so that you can heal from past pain. So you need to check, what are the trauma, what are the pain points, the pain in your childhood, the pain in your society, your community, the pain that you have been inflicted, maybe out of marriage or your second marriage. What has happened? Answer that question. What has happened in your past? 2, how do you feel about what happened? Because oftentimes your interpretation is where the problem is. What happens can have like 20 interpretations. You have chosen the one that serves your interest, that makes you feel pain, and that makes the world pity you, right? It doesn't invalidate what was done, but you need to flip it and make it work for you. How does it mean to you, and how do you attain closure? So you need to attain closure, because it will consistently affect how you talk and how you communicate. Number 3, create a predetermined perceptual code for your colleagues and let it drive your code of engagement. Maybe for your spouse. Who is my lover? My lover is a king. If it's a king, how do you talk to a king? No matter what, even when the king upsets you, do you go and say, king, you are now stupid. You are now a stupid king. No, you don't do that, right? If your spouse is a queen, you say you are royalty. How do you, when the queen annoys you, now say you are a useless queen. I now the queen, you know, right? That even when what they have done is hurting, you still find the dignifying way of communicating, because communication is first about you and what you're creating. Now, who is my child? If my children, for example, we call them royalties, and I can never shout on them, I never scream at them, I talk to them with respect, we analyze everything happening, right? And I'm sitting with them, they're feeding me back. My son is quick to come and hug me and say, Daddy, this is what can we talk about this and stuff? I couldn't have done that with my parents, right? Because of what I see. How I can measure how you see the person you're talking to by how you are communicating with them, right? So who is your spouse? How do I deal with this based on their perceptual code? So everyone create a perceptual code for your family, for the people in your family. If you say everybody in my family is a diplomat, how do you talk to diplomat? How do you relate with diplomat? Number 4, always seek to clarify as against accused and clearly communicate to be sure the instruction is understood. So you need to bypass conscious resistance. Your chocolate is missing. Don't say, who stole the chocolate? Junior, I know you stole the chocolate. And Junior says, I did not. And you say, no, why are you lying? No, can you fact find? Oh, Junior, I'm looking for a box of chocolate here. Do you know who took it? And if Junior says, I don't, for me, I will believe my child until proven otherwise, right? Because I don't have so much time to be processing her time. Because I always say to myself, praise, you can be wrong, right? You can actually be wrong. So we were having a conversation one day between me and my wife, and she went to the bedroom and our toothbrush was wet. So she came to the room and she said, sweetheart, I feel someone has used my toothbrush today. And I said, why would you think that? Is that the only possibility that exists? She said, no, it's wet. And I said, so what? That is wet, does that mean someone has taken it? I said, nobody used your toothbrush. Everybody had it. Why would you even think anybody used your toothbrush? Right? I said, the toothbrush fell down when I was having my bath and I helped you clean it. Now, so why didn't that be the first thing that came to your mind? Because that would have been the first thing that came. So we had to analyze it. So you always seek to clarify as against accused. You see, you are in a safe place when you are deployed the power of questioning. Be a student at all times. Seek to learn. So if you see something that is inappropriate, don't just, especially when you don't have accurate information. Even when you think you have accurate information, you may have missed out on some detail. So you are in a safer place when you fact find and you say, oh, I was just wondering, did you help me? I was just wondering, this is the way I feel. I could be wrong, but what do you think? right? Learn to bypass conscious resistance. I gave you an example earlier on. Number 5, create a sandwich model and win. Sandwich says, find what is good and I like, communicate your concerns in a suggestive manner, and praise to them to say, oh, sweetheart, I love you, you're the best. I was just wondering, if you could move from where you are to where this place. But if you don't feel like moving, it's still okay, but I just felt this place will be better for you. You have sold. Communication is marketing, is selling. You must be a skilled salesperson for you to win with people. Now, finally, we create with our words. And the response we get from people is often the report card of what we have created with our words. Words are not for talking. Words are for creation. Never forget that. When you understand this, your communication will be better. It will be swift. It will be smooth. It will be edifying. It will lift people. And you need to understand, I talked about creating your family culture, that you need to now create a superior family culture that everyone that moves out of your family, you can say their royalty, it shows in their communication. They never talk down people, shout people, insult people. It shows in the way they relate. And you see, if you're a skilled communicator, you have a lot of friends and a lot of patronage. I'll end with this. If we treat human beings like criminals, they will respond like criminals. If we speak to human beings like human beings, they will respond like human beings. And if we treat human beings like royalties, they will respond like royalties. Who we are is often how we treat others. So here are my 2 questions. What signal will your family experience from you from now on? Pick one word that you will work for. So if I say praise is dash, what will that dash be? Pick that word and fight for it. If I communicate to say, if I hang around you, I want you to hold me to this word in my talk, in my thoughts, in my action, because your word starts from your thoughts. How do you think about the situation? How do you feel about the situation? How do you position about the situation? Then what is your perceptual code for everyone in your family? So everyone in my family is a royalty or they're celebrities. Then who do I need to become to accord them that honor, irrespective of what they have done? We always think we need to squeeze our face to communicate displeasure. It doesn't have to be. Be a student, fact find, right? And speak to edify, speak to help the people around you become the best version of themselves. Thank you very much. I hope you have learned something. Well, I'm available here to take your questions. Thank you very much for this invitation. God bless you.
Thank you, boss. Thank you, boss. You brought the whole curriculum for them for free. Oh my God, we should have known. We should have known you were going to bring all of that. Oh wow. Thank you, Pierre. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Jackie, just before you go on, so that someone said jointly, Chioma, you are on your own. Well, anyways, the replays are available. But we need to just do some things quickly before. Guys, if you did not register for the program, you're going to miss out on a lot of things. So PF, Dr. DMA, TPF, and DIMA have said so much, and we want to give you something special. It's a special gift that we're going to be giving out to you. So please make sure you register so we can have your contact details and we'll be able to send you this something special. Also, we're going to be doing a survey shortly. The first 5 people that will be completing this survey will have a special gift for you. The first 5 people that will be complete. And I'm not going to talk about the gift until we're ready to do the survey. So if you didn't register, please make sure you register. I'm posting the link right now, and make sure that you register. Even if your friends didn't come here, get them to register. Especially if they live in diaspora, we need to ensure that we're getting the kind of support. We have some kind of peculiar situation in diaspora that we would like to address as family system engineering, and that's why we're saying. So someone is saying quality presentation. So please, if you did not register, quickly get to register. And then while we're doing that as well, please put in the comments what this was like for you. What you just start to, let's give PF some some emojis to describe the feeling. Over to you, Uwa and Jackie. I'm just going to make sure that I've got everything posted for the question. Wow. Thank you so very much, sir. Yesterday, it was Bokunda couldn't write anything when Dima was making her presentation. I think she passed on that to me today, because at some point, all I could just say was, I started writing initially, but I mean, the whole thing just Thank you so very much. So many salient points that you have you have noted, and we want to encourage you, please send in your questions. Don't let this opportunity slip by. It's not every time you get praiseful, free of charge like this. Please send in your questions. Send in your questions so that we're able to take advantage of his wisdom and knowledge before he leaves here. Jackie, what do you have to say?
Oh, I've got a question already for PF. Uwa and Boko. It was a good one. PF gave us the 5 points agenda for communication. I hope that all of us who were watching, we saw the triangles. Those were not just images. They were taking you on a journey, and that journey can lead you to transformation if you follow those triangles. I mean, I just saw another PF brought his A game as always. He never brings a B game. He always brings an A game, and we celebrate you. But I've got a question waiting already. And this person is saying that, my spouse talks to me in very demeaning ways. He speaks to me as if, he brought me this far. So he even makes comments like, I brought you to the UK and things like that. And she's saying, how can I get him to see that this is going to tear us apart, soon or very soon? How can I, I know what to do. I know what is right, but how can I bring him to begin to do better because the kids are watching?
Okay, thank you very much. I empathize with you, and I must say that that's not a good place to be. But I do not know if you have ever communicated with your spouse about how you feel about what he does. I think you need to sit down with him and ask questions. I mean, seek to clarify as a student. Ask him, how do you see me? Is there something I need to do to be a better wife to you? And things like that. Just take notes, right? And that's why, trust me, we don't know your spouse age. That's why you have all these practitioners in the UK. You need to meet them. There is an assessment they can give you that helps you identify and demystify who your spouse is. It's 94% accurate. They don't have to meet him. Then after assessing you, they can now help you create a template or a strategy that can help you win. We can't do that here because I don't have those details. So please talk to Bokun, talk to Jacqueline or any of them. They can work with you on this. Now, having said that, if you have done what I've just said, now that we don't have all those other details, the other thing you now need to do is focus on yourself, right? Become an indispensable person. We struggle so much about, oh, this person talks to me this or this person talks to me anyhow. I always say to people, if you're talking to me anyhow, I'll create a narrative for you. I'll just assume that maybe you have a trouble. So, for example, if I'm dealing with a hungry husband or a hungry wife, I would, in my mind, assume that you are going to register in Hollywood and you are a cast in the movie called The Angry Husband. So you are rehearsing. So instead of getting angry, I'll just be looking at you and be smiling every time you're in your anger state. I'll be angry that, oh, I will even be telling you, act well, that's because my peace is my personal responsibility and I'm not going to allow anybody to take it away from me, right? So the thing about your mind is that you can trick your mind to believe anything. That's why you watch a movie, the movie is a movie, the actor did not die, but the actor died in the movie and you are crying because your mind cannot differentiate between what is true and what is simulated. That's how you can trick your mind, right? And once you trick your mind, you see, you can use it to your own advantage. Now, having said that, focus on developing yourself. Now, these people can create a developmental plan for you. Once you become indispensable, you would realize that how he sees you begins to change, right? And he will now realize that, because especially a lot of men, once they realize that their wife has become formidable and they are likely to lose that woman if they don't behave, many of them begin to behave. But if they think that you are disposable, they can still keep talking to you anyhow. So I think you need to develop yourself. But trust me, there's a limit to what I can recommend, because again, if we don't have full details, professionally, we're not allowed to recommend. So you will need to work with these people so that they can help you run a comprehensive assessment and know, because the problem can even be in your childhood. It may even have nothing to do with your husband. It may be in how you were raised. So we can't assume that unless you take that assessment. So please get in touch with them, and I'm sure they will take you to a place of bliss.
Okay. Oh, so good, PF. Where do you want to go?
Yes, there's another question here. Thank you very much, PF. How do you handle being constantly misunderstood? Everyone expects that you have no right to your opinion as a leader.
Okay. Trust me, people will misunderstand you based on where they are. because you even misunderstand people based on where they are. So at every level you are in life, there are people below you. Those below you will misunderstand you. Those above you will misunderstand you. Now, and so it depends on, but if everyone now misunderstands you, you will need to check yourself, right? But if that is not the case, I think you shouldn't, for me, if you misunderstand me, the question is who? Who is misunderstanding me, right? If it's someone that I respect, I'll listen. If it's someone I don't respect, I'll listen, but if I'm convinced, that's why my wife will tell you that when my husband is convinced about something, it's almost impossible for you to, because I would have thought it through. And I'm comfortable to make mistakes and ask for forgiveness than not to try anything at all. That's me, right? So I'm not living life to please people or to make people happy, right? I don't want to be liked like that. I just want to be me. That's what I want to do. And I'm perfect at being me. I cannot be you. So there are people who say praise is very cocky. It's their worldview. I cannot change it. Right? I cannot help it. And I'm not going to stop being me. So and they're saying I'm cocky because I can't be in a place and ignorance is thriving and I'm going to pretend as if, ignorance is our friend. That's not me. I'm going to raise my hand to ask questions like I usually would ask. I'm not going to be rude, but I will ask questions. And some people cannot afford when you ask questions, right? But I would ask questions, except I'm not at that meeting, or you shut me out, or you say there is not going to be any question, right? So, but the question is, do you like yourself, right? And do you think you're treating people well around you? If you have answered those questions, then look for your inner circle, because everybody must have an inner circle. Your inner circle are the ones who can tell you the truth. They like you enough to tell you the truth. If your inner circle feels the same way others are feeling, then pay attention, right? Because they love you enough to speak the truth to you. But if they think that you're okay, and then I don't see any reason why you need to now be, because after you change to somebody else's, you will say another person now, will you not be changing every now and then? No, the whole world cannot like you. They can't. They didn't like Jesus. They didn't like Prophet Muhammad. They don't even like God. Everybody does not like God. So don't try to, just try to be you, and make sure that 4 things: you respect people, you accept people without judgment, you try to understand people, and you love people. If you do those 4, I think you'll just be cool, right? So, but again, if you feel comfortable enough to do a comprehensive audit, personal audit, on your journey with the people in here, please reach out to them. They will charge you a token, and they will resolve the issue.
Thank you so much, PF. PF has said so much. So, guys, it's up to you. I'm going to be posting in the link now a survey. The survey is covering a few things. We want to know how you sincerely felt about the summit. Would you like more of this? What would you like? What additional thing? And of course, PF has been saying you want to contact us, you want to reach out so that we can help you with the details of all the things we've been talking about here. So here's your chance. I'm posting the link. And guess what? The first 5 people, who are going to be responding, we're going to be giving you free consultation calls. Free consultation calls. The first 5 people.
Can I apply? I am number 1.
The link is going now. The first 5 people, free consultation calls. First 5. So you can still come up with your question, but make sure that you are answering this. And if you know anyone, this is not about the numbers. This is about people with real life issues. Someone out there that is hurting, a lady, especially for those of us in the UK. A lot of people are, or diaspora, or just generally anywhere. We are hiding so many things. We're ashamed to talk about it. This is your chance. At FSC, there's so much we do. PF is raising his hand.
Let me say something. You see, these people are not selling to you, and I'll tell you what. I work in the US, right? So I'm very close to the Family Life Coaching Association in the US. One of the things they have discovered is that many of their methodology never worked for African Americans. So they had to ask me to say, why? And I say, I know why, because you cannot just come with pure science, because we are not like that. We're coming from a culture and we're totally a different people. Because many of the things that was used to build their model did not incorporate the reality of the African. In the US, when you say somebody before going to school, you want hawk bread, they don't understand what you are talking about. Or you are saying there are some communities where there is no electricity. They don't know. So somebody that doesn't know that, how can he incorporate that into. So when these people are telling you, if you live in the UK or you live in diaspora, that you need to go to them, you are not just, you are working with people who understand your history, who can hack into the history and create a methodology that can help you win. So they are not just gambling, or they are groping. They know exactly what you've been through or what you're going through, and they can help you create a template. And that's why you need, let me tell you, this were to be an Indian session. Indians patronize Indians. They will not patronize any other person. It's when they can't find a solution among Indians that they'll go out. The same thing Jews. If they can't find a solution among their Jews, that's when they will go out. But our people, they just think because your skin is black, you don't know anything. No, that's the greatest mistake you make. I'll tell you, I got to the US and I was working with a Nigerian lady who had been in therapy for 7 years. She has paid consistently for 7 years therapy. And the girl was still depressed. She was still suicidal. So I got in, I did a psychometry, and I created a roadmap for her, 14 days. In 14 days, our boss had to call to say, what did you do to this girl? In fact, she eventually resigned. She said she had never done it before because she found out that she was being underpaid. She said she would have stayed with her. And immediately in 1 week, she found a job that paid like 3 times higher. Wow. Everywhere in the US right now, she's telling everybody, see, in 7 years, see what my brother, so we need to understand that, because I understood everything she was talking about. The white person cannot understand it as much. I mean, they are doing very well, their methodology works, but you see, not your people will understand you more than most people. And if they are professionals, that's a blessing. So grab this opportunity, rush these people. I don't know what they're going to charge you, but trust me, whatever they charge you will be lower than anybody. I mean, I know what I charge people, and you don't want to hear it, so please grab this offer, run after them. I mean, I see what Jacqueline does with her clients. She sends me some of the reports and I'm in awe. I get the feedback that, people are saying, wow, this is so accurate. So please get any of them and you will, I can put my chest, I defend them with my chest. I know these ones will hack your problems, create the solutions, and you will smile at the end of the day.
You want me to take RPF? That was so good. Thank you so much. The vote of honesty, just even the vote of confidence is so good. Guys, you've heard it. Come and do better with your marriages. If your car needs to be serviced, you can be sure that your marriage or relationships, need more PF. Before we take Olasukomi's question, someone says you should please give a strategy or a tip to a woman who needs her husband to come for counseling. Is there any way to do this? She knows that they need it. And she said, and I know that place, as a practitioner. I'm sure Uwa and Boko, that many women want this. Many, they know they need it, but the men are not coming. PF, please, what do you say? What's your counsel?
Trust me, it's the African man in them that says, how can I go and meet another man like me? That it's a mindset. And what I do, the leader in the relationship is the person who has shown up for help, and leadership is responsibility. So what I do over time is to create a strategy with the person who has shown up, to begin to influence the person who has not shown up without the person even knowing. The most effective system, that's why our methodology is systems driven. The most effective system is the one that influences you without you knowing. Nobody has ever told any teenager, remove your clothes now, put up your boxers and begin to sag. You will never see that information. But do they sag? They sag. Right? Why do they sag? Systems. So if you follow them, you can be, they will create a template for you. I work with a woman whose husband was no longer talking to her, and the man will not show up for counseling. In fact, the woman begged, well, I told the woman, forget him, don't even bother. And what did I do? I looked at that woman. Why is he no longer talking to you? So instinctively, I told her, can you bring me your picture before you got married to him? She brought the picture. She used to be very slim. Now she's a bit plumpy. So I said, okay, the first thing we need to do, we need to get you into a gym. So we got her into the gym. She began to drop, change the diet. Now, that's a strategy, right? Then I told her, jog every morning, right? And when you come back, throw a party for yourself, play good music, because the man's strength was the fact that she was becoming very depressed and very angry. So she now became very happy. And once she became happy, he began to wonder what was making her happy. So by the 4th week, I told her, create an imaginary phone call to an imaginary lover or a friend and just talk. I said, just do that and drop your phone and go inside and see if he will try to grab your phone. So she did that. That was scripting, right? We scripted it. She dropped her phone. The guy tried to grab the phone and realized that there was no call log. So that aroused his curiosity, because when a man has left a woman like that, the first thing you want to do is to strike jealousy in him. Mm-hmm. So by the 2nd day, by the 6th day or so, she was jogging and this guy was jogging behind her. So she looked back and said, what are you doing behind me? He said, I want to see the new lover that has taken my place. Right? Case closed. So what you do is you can create a system that begins to influence the person who has refused to show up. I worked with another woman. Her husband told her that any man that can affect you like this, I will pay $1 million to work with that person. Simply because she changed. She no longer was getting angry. And the man eventually showed up. He said, I want to just see the man, who has influence. So work with the person. God, you show up, right? Forget about him showing, because oftentimes it's about you, right? A change you will influence the person who has refused to change. That's how it works. Once you are happy, right, your happiness will infect the other person, and they want to know the source of your joy, especially when your joy is no longer dependent on what they are saying or what they are not saying. So you focus on you and trust the process. My boss, I greet sir.
Now my boss, my oga.
You are the bishop of UK. We greet you. When I come now, you are the one hosting me. You and Boku.
Hosting is no problem, but you are my oga anytime, any day.
Oh, fantastic. So people are filling up the forms. Do you want to take the next question? There's a question on screen.
Okay, PF, it says, Olasukomi Kilani says, how can one make her partner to be constantly in good relationship with my family? So this is, a guy saying, how can I make my partner be constantly in good relationship with my family as in-law and totally enable her to seem as a gold wife and not a slave? Something is going on there.
Okay. The question I beat conflicting, right? So the second part I don't understand it, but I don't know if you guys do, but the first question says, how can you make your partner to be constantly in good relationship with your family as in-laws? So, but the second part, is it that your family, they are treating her badly or something, or she's behaving like a slave or something? I can't, that's the way I have the drift. However, in working with in-laws, the first thing you need to understand is this: your first loyalty must be to your spouse, right? If you don't insulate your spouse from family will mess out. That's why we say the marriage is the coming together of a man and a woman from two different nations to create a new nation that will promote the best interests of all, and whose culture will give our world rest, right? UK has to be loyal to UK. UK cannot be loyal to Nigeria, right? So you need to understand that. So you need to shield your wife and insist that your family members respect your wife. Now, respect is reciprocal. How does she relate with them as well? Now, you can't come into my house as my younger brother and eat and not wash your plate. It will never happen, right? Because if we feed you, it's a privilege, it's not a right, right? And so you will see me wash my plate. If you don't wash your plate, that will be the last time you will eat in my house. So I will, if you want to live with us as my family member, I will take you through induction. We have an induction program in my family. I'll take you through this is how it works, so that you don't think it's my wife that is. So when our people come, she will do it as well, right? So you need to understand that a lot of people, they think low of your wife, not because they want to, but simply because your wife upsets the calculations they already set for you. Because every family have an idea of who they think their brother should get married to. So maybe your mother has prepared, has even promised somebody that her daughter will marry her son, right? Your sisters and brothers, they are also pushing their friend to marry you. Then your wife came from nowhere. So she's already in a war front from day one. But there are strategies for women in that situation to win. We call them the acronym PRAISE. So if it's your mother-in-law you're dealing with P, praise her. Even when she has not done anything, keep praising her. R, readily respond respectfully to her intention. Not even what she needs. So you have to figure out what her intentions are. So if you know that she likes provisions or something, be the one to supply. She likes footwear, be the one to supply, right? A, acknowledge her input and her impact, even if there's nothing. So when people say, oh, we are glowing, I say, I want to thank my mother-in-law, she's a fantastic whatever. You need to play these politics very well. I interview her, right? People become very, very weak and vulnerable when they have something to teach. So go and meet her and say, Mommy, oh, I learned to cook something very well. Can you teach me? Right? Then, so when you have done that, S is solve a problem with speed and smile. Prioritize the need, right? And E, exceed the expectation. If she insults you, she expects you to fight back, don't fight back. Exceed that. If you follow those models, trust me, you will win with any mother-in-law. Even if she's a witch, you will win, right? And always understand that whatever can be endured, whatever has an expiry date can be endured. But you as the husband, if you are the one sending this, right, every husband must become the president of their family. You are the one that must put your foot down and say, I chose this woman and I'm going to stand for her or with her. Problem will arise when the husband is not on your side and is siding with his people. That becomes a major issue. There'll be another strategy we now need to create for you to work, whichever battle it is. Always know that you are a strategy away from winning. If you can follow the strategy, there's always a strategy available. That is why when we say work with professionals, a lot of people, I've seen people lose battles that they have no business losing if they had only reached out to a professional. So please reach out. Let's analyze the situation, analyze the war, and create a strategy that can help you win. Right. So I hope I've been able to respond to that.
Yeah. Fantastic. I bet the person that's sent in this question has taken so much, because even for me, I'm taking so much more from the response you've given. Pastor Dele, how many more questions do you think we should take, or can we take? Because
I think let's just take one more.
One more question.
Take note of the others, because integrity demands that we say 8 is already past 8. Yes. I don't want us to overstretch it.
Exactly. Fantastic. Okay, we'll take just one more question. And while we're doing that, we're already doing all our announcements. So don't forget to please fill in the survey that's been sent to you, or share it with someone that you think would need help. The replays are available. You can get it. And how many people want this summit another time? If you know that you want us to have version 2, version 3, a better version, put it in the chat. So we'll see how many people, if you really, really want it, because PF, should we be looking at first quarter 2022? Should we be making plans for that? If we see what they say in the comment box, we'll decide what we're going to do.
I think you guys should even plan a live one that is not virtual, so that we can travel to the UK and come and
Amazing. Good. So you've heard it. We are planning, and probably we're going to have a live one. So we're going to take one more question. Make sure you please complete the survey. We'd like to meet you too. If you didn't register, don't forget, we've got something which is a playbook of all the speakers. So I read some comment where someone was saying, oh, I enjoyed Dr. Agbelu. So, and for all of you that be talking about DIMA or TPF and you want to get more tips, we have gotten their details. We have it and we're sharing it for free, but you must be registered. If you're not registered, you're not getting that. We're sending a playbook, and that playbook not only includes our speakers, but it also includes all the professionals in the UK that you can reach out to. So you'll be having that playbook in your inbox, live and direct. You want to reach PF, we'll tell you the trick. We'll tell you how you can get him. So those are the things we'd like you to note. And then PF, just, I know that because of time, while PF is, you tell us just something briefly about FSA and this new nation, this new family that we're building, this new world we're creating. And please, if we have it in the chat box, there's an opportunity for you to be a part of this family by becoming a professional, and we'll put the link. They started a new class yesterday, so please join. I'm sure PF will still allow 1 or 2 people to come on board. So PF will tell you about it, and I'll post the link now.
Okay, thank you very much. Look at Africa. Do you like what you see? I'm sure you don't like what you see. Look at Africans in diaspora. Do you like what you see? I'm sure you don't like what you see. I came to Canada to visit my family, and we needed to move. We needed to move house, and while looking for a new house to rent, I noticed that all the houses we must have checked over, and I'm not exaggerating, over 40 houses. All the houses were owned by Indians. They were owned by Jews. They were owned by Chinese. We never met a house that was owned by an African and was up for rent. Not one. In fact, we went to one house and we saw over 11 Indians living in that house. And it was up for, they were all moving out. We saw the sitting room, there was a bed there. So I had to snoop around and ask a few questions, and they said, oh, now that's how they do, that they come like that. So instead of one person paying like $2,500 or $3,000 for house rent, they each will now be paying $200 each. Meanwhile, they are working out and they are saving and they are investing together and they are buying properties. So now it was time for them to move out because everyone is now sorted financially. Then I began to ask myself, why are we like this? Yeah. But if I look back to Benin City, to Benin Kingdom, we were never used to be like in the 1400s. We were people collaborated. What went wrong? Another generation just rose up. So what we are saying is Africans know me, myself. Africa does not know we, us, and our. And that is a pain. So if you ask 10 Nigerian leaders to give you the vision of Nigeria, they'll give you 10 visions. If you ask them to give you the Nigerian value, they'll give you 10 values. That's a problem, right? Because the Jewish nation, they know what it means to be a Jew. The Japanese, they know what it means to be a Japanese. 6 values. The Indians understand fraternity, which is the value that needs to, be in place for you to be an Indian. And that's why they can extend a loan to their people till they can settle in, whether in the UK, whether everywhere they go, they extend the frontiers. Our people are running away from one another. We only gather when we go one way. Now, we cannot do anything about the past, but we can do something about the future by creating the future. And that's why we're taking responsibility to know that, you know what? The happiest people in another 20, 40, in another 40 years should be us. In America, we are the most educated minority, but we lack power. So we now need to begin to organize ourselves into clusters of villages and begin to determine our future and learn to do things together. That's the main thrust of why we're doing family system, to say Africans must begin to learn systems intelligence and not just emotion. We must begin to ask right questions, create methodology, and build models that work. That's why we do what we are doing, right? And that's why you have a lot of practitioners. That's why now, if you have a marital problem, you have a challenge, talk to any of these practitioners in the UK. You don't even need me. You need them because they can do everything I'm talking about. They are equipped. Talk to them. Patronize them. Reach out to them. They will help you create a new village. And I challenged Pastor Dele the other time, Bokum, that we now need to begin to create a village where our children can even come and learn together, do things together, collaborate together. We must begin to meet and show that we have this village, name it, right? I know that the people in Edinburgh have started something. The people in London should start something, right? Where you see our people, they are happy. We can exchange ideas, exchange knowledge, and I'll say this finally. My wife's friend bought a house from a Jewish girl that was just 21 years old. So we were asking, how can a Jewish girl afford the house that she can sell at 21? Guess what we found out? We found out that every grandfather in the Jewish culture in America or wherever they are, they take life insurance for their grandchild the moment they are born. So by the time that child is 18, she's already wealthy because the grandfather provided for her. A good man leaves inheritance for his. We quote it, they put it into a model and methodology. That's what we're saying, to say we can now begin to script success. We can script the future. And we can determine and create a space for our children everywhere they go in the future. Our people should not be the ones doing menial jobs, factory job. No, our people can collaborate to set up the best banks, the best industries in diaspora. That's the mission we're on. To say, if I see my African brother, I must know what to expect. I must be able to provide support. And we must support ourselves to ensure we succeed out here. That's what we're doing, right? And so that's the whole essence of family systems engineering methodology. That I am because you are. There is no me without you. Whatever I do against you, I do against myself. And that we are better together than apart. So come join us. Come be a part of what we're building. Trust me, we will look back 30 years down the line and be proud of what we have done because we're taking responsibilities for the future generation. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
So good.
So there's still a question that PF was supposed to help answer. Is there still time for it? It's 8:15.
I can read it. How do you help a wife whose husband is constantly cheating and whenever she engages him, he apologizes but never stops? She doesn't know what else to do. Please go and see Pastor Dele or see Bokun or see Jacqueline or see Stawa or see any of the practitioners in the UK. This one, I cannot answer the question. You need to sit with someone and we need to know exactly what do you want, right? And what are the pains in his life? Is he willing to get help? It's not something you need to sit with any of these people. So please reach out to them, fill the link, and they will solve this. Yeah, thank you.
So, guys, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate you. We love you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. You've heard so much. We've got all the links that you need. We'll also be emailing you. If you've registered, you'll be getting the contact details, like I said, the playbook. So thank you from me and from you, Uwa.
Thank you so very much. It was a powerful 2 days. We were glad that you took our time to invest in yourself, invest in your marriage, invest in your relationship. And we implore you that you please, the things you've heard, these past 2 days, put them to good use. And wherever you need further help, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to make your relationship better. We are here to make your relationship experience bliss. So thank you once again. And don't forget to do the survey, like Bokun has been saying. Don't forget, to anticipate our communication. You're going to be getting a whole lot more. Thank you. God bless you.
Jacqueline?
I just want to say again that we're invested, we're interested, we're giving ourselves to your marital success, your family growth, winning as a family in the United Kingdom. And that's what we're about. There's nothing else. And so it's been a delight just doing this for you, with you. And I honor PF and every speaker that has come. And I honor my colleagues. And I can't wait to see what God is going to use us to do in this land, in the United Kingdom and in Europe, And so, yes, you're welcome. We're here for you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. To put a final closure to this, I want to say once again, my humble self, Dele Agbogun, thank you so much for the sacrifices. It's an investment that I can assure you will never go to waste once you apply it. I'm privileged to be the Vice President of the Family Systems and Professional Network. And we are all here to ensure that we establish this institution and turn it into a village so that we become a hub, a solution hub, whereby we can help to establish healthy relationship. And whatever we do, our relationship can never be better than the kind of information you have about that relationship or marriage. I tell people that information is actually the baseline for transformation. We have a quest. Our quest is to ensure that we have homes that will be transformed, relationships that will be transformed. You might not even be married yet. There will be opportunity for premarital counseling, postmarital counseling, and have a whole solution offered. Just go to that link and make sure you make yourself available, because those are the means we're going to be using to reach out. And we trust God that your own home will be a reference. Your relationship will be a reference to so many other homes. And that's our belief for each and every one of us. Thank you so much once again, and God bless you.
Yeah.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.